So here I have a much more complex statement that we're going to be trying to work through a truth table for. Now I have the P and the Q, the actual wording of the statements, for visiting the two parks. However, it's really arbitrary what these statements are. The statements don't matter. Whether they're true or false doesn't matter when you're building a truth table, because you're really just looking at options, right? Options all the way down. And so these could be any two statements, it doesn't matter. In fact, many of them that you'll be getting in the homework won't even have statements there. You're just building the truth table. So whether or not I visited those parks is not relevant to the actual building of the truth table, okay? So here, the strategy that I usually invoke to build the truth table is to start with the least dominant connectives, okay? So that would be the negations. So anything that has a negation on it, we start with those columns. Then you start with the conjunction, you go to the conjunctions and disjunctions, and then later on, not now, but later on we'll talk about conditionals and conditionals and biconditionals, and we'll start adding those in as well. Okay, so first of all, the negations. Well, I know I'm going to need a not Q and a not P, right? If I didn't have the not P, if this was just a P, then I could get by without a column for that. But because I do have it in here, I'm going to need that. So I'm going to need both a not Q and a not P. So I'll put those in, not P and not Q. And remember, the negations are always the opposite of the simple statement they come from. So not P is the opposite of P, so it's going to be false, false, true, true. And not Q is the opposite of Q, so it's false, true, false, true. Okay, so I've got two of them done. Now I'm trying to build up to this whole structure here. So I'm going to do stuff within the parentheses next. I'll start on the left maybe. I've got P and not Q. Okay, so that's the next column in the table, P and not Q. So I look at the P column, I look at the not Q column, and because this is a conjunction, I need both columns to be true in the same row in order for the conjunction to be true. Everything else will be false. So as I look down, there's a false. This one has a true on both. There's false and there's false. So anytime there's at least one false, the conjunction is false, but if both are true, then the conjunction is true. All right, so now maybe it'd be pretty simple to just negate that real quick while I'm at it. So I could do the negation of P and not Q. And that's just going to be the opposite of these three. So it's going to be true, false, true, true. Then I move on to the other side. In parentheses here, I have the not P or not Q. And remember, with an or, with a disjunction, both of these simple statements have to be false in order for it to be false. Everything else will be true. So I look at the not P and the not Q, and I look for both to be false. Well, that's in the first row. Not here, not here, not here. So everything else will be true going down. Remember, an or statement is true whenever one or the other or both are true. So true, true, true. Okay. Now finally, I have all the parts built up. So here you can see how we're working toward a goal. I'm not just arbitrarily throwing some combinations down here, okay? We're working toward this as our goal. We're building it up piece by piece. Now that I've got the least dominant connectives done, I go to the most dominant connective, which is the one outside of the parentheses, which is, in this case, the whole thing. So the not P or not Q and not P or not Q. All right, well, let's try that. So it's going to be a conjunction, right? Conjunction with the prior two columns, right? That one looks like this side, this one looks like that side. So it's a conjunction with those two columns of the table. Remember, conjunction means they both must be true in order for that conjunction to be true. So I go down the list, I have not both true, not both true, both are true, and both are true. So I'm going to have two trues, and I'm going to have two falses. Okay, so it's false, false, true, true. What that means then is that if I go back to the original simple statements, I'm essentially saying that this complex statement is false whenever the original two statements are true. Okay, so if the original two statements are true, which they are in this case, right, I did go to those two parks, then this complex statement is false. If the P is true and the Q is false, then the complex statement is also false. If P were false, in either case here, false with a true or false with a false, this complex statement is true. So what it ends up, it's kind of interesting. This actually ends up equivalent to the not P column. If you notice, right? False, false, true, true. It's exactly equivalent to the not P column. And I suppose if I were to write this out in English, it would probably translate or simplify down to just, I did not visit Big Bend National Park, I suppose. Maybe not quite. It'd be more complicated than that. But basically you're saying it is not the case that I visited Big Bend National Park and I did not visit Big Bend or visit Carlsbad Caverns, and I did not visit Big Bend or I did not visit Carlsbad, if that makes any sense. So that's quite a lengthy statement, very complex, right? It's a complex statement. But you can kind of see, hopefully you can see how we build these up now. Again, as a general principle, you start with the least dominant connectives, your negations and your conjunctions and disjunctions that are in parentheses, and you kind of build through to the ones that are more dominant, like your conjunctions and disjunctions that are out of the parentheses, or negations that are out of the parentheses as well, right? Those that came in further down the road, all right? And then you kind of put things together. So you have a goal in mind, you build it up piece by piece until you get to a certain goal. These aren't just randomly, thrown out here. If I have a goal, I'm trying to pick out specific combinations that will get me to that goal.